Hello everybody, it's the 27th of September 2015, it's Dan here from Essex, United Kingdom. You see in front of me here I have some pears. These are variety Concorde. Now a relative has picked these from one of our trees. I would have rather have left them on another 2 weeks or so, but relatives saw fit to pick them, and here they are. So just a little bit about the Concorde pear. Now we've got the Latin name of Pyrus communis, which many of you will already know, and one good thing about these trees is they tend to be rather compact when they are growing away, which also means they can be great to grow in containers if you're a little bit stuck for space. Now the flesh in these is quite firm actually for a pear, and I quite like the flavour. So they tend to be ready from September to November, and they store well. Of course that depends on the weather. I mean, this time last year these were well and truly ready, but this year they're not quite there yet, and I put that down to the fact that it's just simply not been as warm. Now, good thing about these is they will store in the correct conditions, of course, up until January. So that's a very good thing. If you have a Concorde pear tree, you can still be eating your own homegrown pears up until January, so that's good. Now the best thing to do in this case is to pick them when they're slightly underripe, and you want to store them in a cool place and slowly bring them indoors as you're eating them. So in this cold garage, this is perfect. Now this is said to be a self-fertile variety, although some sources describe it as partially self-fertile, but the general sort of idea is they will do better if they have a pear tree in the vicinity which flowers at the same time. And the pollination group for this variety is 3/4, so that would include varieties like Beth and Gorham. Of course, you can do your own research on that, depending on if you're considering planting 2 trees. We only have one pear tree where these pears come from, but a neighbour has a rather large pear tree, so of course that helps. Now the rootstocks that these trees tend to be grown on are quince A, which will give you a tree about 2.5 to 3 metres high, and quince C, which will be about 3 to 4 metres high, and you're looking at about 5 years or so for the best yield. Now the tree these came from hasn't grown as well as I would have liked. I remember one year it had a little bit of dieback, so we had to take that off, and of course that meant one year it hardly had any growth at all, and the second year it spent recovering, and last year we had a smallish crop, but this year not too bad. These were probably about 3 or 4 have already been eaten. And basically what you've got here is a cross. You've got to cross between Doyenne de Comice and the conference pear. Now most of you will know what the conference pear is. That tends to be a supermarket variety. And basically what we've got here is sort of taste of the Comice and the vigorous cropping of the conference pear. So it's a very good tree to have. And they were bred before this, but they were open to the public, the trees, for sale after 1994. And the trees are said to have good canker resistance, although obviously you have got to be careful because pear trees, codling moth and fire blight. You need to do your own research on that, on how to prevent that if you are going to spray. And it had a Royal Horticultural Society award in 1993. So all in all, this is a good variety to grow if you've only got room for one pear tree, and if no one in the vicinity has another pear tree, then you may consider growing one of these, because you will get some pears even though there's not another pear to help pollinate it, but of course it will help if there is one. So let's have a look. Now, they're quite a nice looking pear. As I said though, these aren't quite there yet. They usually look a little bit sort of maybe more like this one, I would say, with this russeting sort of appearance on it. Now, of course, these are very small, these ones, because the tree is relatively young. It can be good for children, these smaller pears. They're very sweet. You can see the nice white flesh there. Slightly different shape to the conference. think they've got a bit of a thinner top, haven't they? Of course, when you think of pears, you tend to think of a tree that takes years to grow. For example, the saying "pears for your heirs," but this tree's been in the ground. The tree these came from for around, I'd say 4 or 5 years. And it is, as I said before, it's had its problems with the dieback. It had 1 year. Thought I was going to lose it, but you can see we've got a satisfactory crop of pears after that time. So one of these trees, after a few years, even in less than ideal situation, has given me this crop. So I'm happy with that. Okay, if there's any questions on the Concorde pear, please ask, and we will speak soon.